The bitter wind cut through my jacket as I trudged through the desolate streets. The darkness pressed in around me, and the only sound was the crunch of snow beneath my boots. I pulled my collar tighter, trying to shield myself from the icy fingers of the night. The streetlights flickered overhead, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with each gust of wind. My breath hung in the air like a ghostly mist, a constant reminder of the biting chill that seemed to seep into my bones. As I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every step. The buildings loomed like silent sentinels, their windows dark and empty. An abandoned storefront caught my eye, its shattered glass like broken teeth in a sinister grin. I quickened my pace, the echo of my footsteps bouncing off the silent walls. A distant howl pierced the stillness, sending shivers down my spine. My heart raced as I scanned the shadows, searching for the source of the haunting sound. The wind whispered through the alleyways, carrying with it a sense of foreboding. I couldn't shake the feeling that something lurked just beyond the edge of visibility. Then a flicker of movement caught my eye, and I turned to see a figure in the distance. A silhouette against the pale glow of the moon, its features obscured by the darkness. My steps faltered for a moment, uncertainty tightening its grip on me. Was it just a trick of the night, or was someone, or something, watching me? I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just my imagination playing tricks in the cold, but the feeling persisted, a growing sense of unease that clung to me like a persistent shadow. I quickened my pace, desperate to escape the oppressive stillness that seemed to envelop the night. As I turned a corner, the street ahead stretched out in a long, unbroken path. My footsteps echoed louder, the sound bouncing off the silent buildings. And then, just for a moment, the wind carried a soft whisper, a chilling voice that seemed to say my name. My heart skipped a beat, and I dared not look back. Fear propelled me forward, each step becoming a desperate attempt to outrun the unseen presence. The streetlights flickered faster now, casting erratic patterns that seemed to mock my escape. The howl echoed again, closer this time, and I dared not glance over my shoulder as I plunged deeper into the cold, unforgiving night. I didn't know what awaited me in the shadows, but the air was thick with a malevolence that clawed in my every step. The cold was no longer just a biting wind. It was a living, breathing entity that whispered of unseen terrors. I stumbled forward, the darkness swallowing me whole, and I could only hope that the morning sun would bring an end to this bone-chilling nightmare. The snow fell in big, fluffy flakes outside my window, turning the world into a quiet, white wonderland. Excitement bubbled up inside me as I realized it was a snow day, no school, just a day of endless fun in the soft, cold embrace of winter. I bundled up in many layers, feeling the warmth of my snowsuit cocooning me like a protective shield against the biting chill. My breath came out in puffs of mist as I stepped outside, greeted by the muffled hush that only freshly fallen snow could bring. The neighborhood was transformed, familiar landmarks hidden beneath a blanket of white. The world seemed so quiet, as if the snow had silenced everything except the crunch of my boots. I trudged through the untouched snow, leaving behind a trail of footprints as proof of my solitary adventure. As I wandered deeper into the snowy expanse, the thrill of the day began to mingle with a subtle sense of unease. The trees stood like silent sentinels, their branches heavy with the weight of the snow. Every so often, a gust of wind would send a shiver through the branches, and I couldn't help but imagine ghostly whispers hiding in the rustle of the leaves. Eventually I found a clearing where the snow lay undisturbed, a pristine canvas begging to be marked by my playful footsteps. I started to build a snowman, my mittened hands shaping each part with care. But with every roll of the snowball and every pat of my hand, a feeling of being watched lingered in the back of my mind. The cold seemed to seep through my gloves, and a chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. I glanced around the empty clearing, half expecting to see a pair of eyes peering out from the shadows. But there was nothing, just a silent, snowy landscape stretching out in all directions. I finished my snowman, but an inexplicable urge to leave the clearing tugged at me. As I walked away, my footprints seemed to echo louder in the stillness. The snowflakes fell gently, each one a tiny reminder of the cold that surrounded me. I glanced back at my creation, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw its coal eyes shift, following my every move. My heart raced, and I stumbled backwards, tripping over my feet in my haste to escape the eerie feeling that the snowman was more than just frozen water and twigs. I ran home, the cold air burning in my lungs, and slammed the door behind me. Safe inside, I peered out the window at the snow-covered world. The unease fading away as if it had never been. But every now and then, as the snow continued to fall, I couldn't shake the feeling that the cold held secrets hidden in the silent beauty of a winter day. The night air was crisp and biting as I hurried through the desolate park. The dim glow of the streetlights cast long shadows on the icy path, and a chill ran down my spine, making me quicken my pace. I could feel eyes on me, a prickling sensation at the back of my neck that refused to fade. Glancing over my shoulder, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure trailing behind, a silhouette blending with the darkness. Panic set in as I realized I was not alone in the cold park. My breath came out in visible puffs as I pushed myself to run faster. The sound of my footsteps echoed in the empty night, but so did the hurried steps of the pursuer. Fear gnawed at me as I veered off the main path, hoping to lose them in the maze of trees. The cold seemed to seep into my bones, slowing me down, but the adrenaline pushed me forward. I darted between trees, my heart pounding in my ears, the icy branches clawing at my clothes. The distant echo of footsteps persisted, growing louder as my pursuer closed the gap. My breath hitched when I stumbled over a root, but I quickly regained my footing and sprinted on. The park seemed to stretch endlessly, the darkness playing tricks on my mind. I glanced around, desperate for an escape route, and spotted a narrow alley between two thick bushes. Without hesitation, I plunged into the darkness, thorns scratching at my skin. The air grew colder, and the alley seemed to twist and turn, concealing me from view. I pressed myself against a tree, trying to muffle my gasps and steady my erratic breaths. Footsteps approached the entrance of the alley, and I held my breath, praying they wouldn't find me. The sound lingered for a moment before fading away into the night. Relief washed over me, but the cold air clung to my trembling form. I waited, listening for any sign of danger before cautiously emerging from my hiding spot. The park was silent once more, the only sound my own ragged breaths. I retraced my steps, taking a circuitous route to ensure I wasn't followed. As I reached the park's exit, I stole one last glance over my shoulder. The shadowy figure was nowhere in sight, swallowed by the wintry darkness. I quickened my pace, leaving the cold park behind, the memory of the chase haunting me like a lingering ghost. The bitter cold had wrapped its icy fingers around everything, turning the world into a frozen landscape. I huddled in my small, dimly lit room, the chill seeping through the walls despite my best efforts to keep it at bay. The heater struggled to make a difference, and I could see my breath in the frigid air. As the temperature plummeted, I gazed at my computer, a lifeline to the outside world. Its hum and glow provided a stark contrast to the cold surroundings. Then an idea sparked in my mind, a desperate attempt to harness the one thing my computer had in abundance: heat. I peered inside the tower, my eyes landing on the graphics card, a trusty NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080. Known for its powerful performance, it also had the reputation of running hot under intense gaming sessions. Desperation fueled my decision as I decided to push my computer to its limits for a different purpose. I fired up a graphics-intensive game, letting the virtual world unfold on my monitor. The fans on the RTX 3080 roared to life, and soon, the graphics card was radiating a substantial amount of heat. I positioned myself close to the tower, the warmth providing a welcome contrast to the freezing room. As the game progressed, I could feel the temperature in the room rising. The cold that had settled into my bones began to thaw. I marveled at the irony of seeking warmth from a piece of technology designed for entertainment. The graphics card churned out heat like a miniature heater, and I found solace in the artificial warmth it provided. It became my makeshift furnace in the relentless battle against the cold. The game became secondary as I embraced the unconventional strategy of heating my room with the very tool that transported me to other worlds. In that moment of innovation born out of necessity, I realized the peculiar symbiosis between technology and survival. The hum of the graphics card became a comforting melody, drowning out the howling wind outside. And as I nestled close to the warmth generated by the RTX 3080, I marveled at the unexpected ways in which we adapt to the harsh embrace of winter's icy grip.